Goeienaand, dis Woensdag aan 23 Maart, dis 7 uur en dis weer tyd vir Fokus. Ek is Lenet Francis Peuren, baie welkom. Bietjie later praat ons oor die humanitêre krisis in die Oekraïne, te midde van die oorlog wat daar woed. Die Noord-Kaapse Dept van Gesondheid het na 9 maande van stilswye gereageer op die swakdiens wat 'n familie van de Aar verlede jaar in Julie in die de Aar hospitaal ervaar het. Die Van Syfer familie se pa is in die Covid-saal van die hospitaal oorlede nadat sy seun vroeër die oggend die saal verlate aangetref het sonder enige mediese personeel aan diens. Sedertdien het nog ander inwoners ook na vore gekom met hulle klagtes van swakdiens by die hospitaal. Regisseur en kamerman Paul Masela het die verslag uit die Noord-Kaap gestuur.
Fokus het verlede jaar in Julie maand die storie van die Van Syfer familie vertel wat hul vader hier by die Covid-saal van die de Aar hospitaal verloor het. Nou die familie het gevoel dat die toestande waaronder hul vader dood is nie vir hulle sin gemaak het nie. En hulle het juist dan die departement van Gesondheid in Noord-Kaap gevra om 'n ondersoek te loods. Maar dit het maande geduur voordat die familie enigiets van die departement gehoor het. Anthony Van Syfer sê hulle was raadop en teleurgesteld met die departement van Gesondheid se stilswye.
Ek was die 23 November 2021 het ek tot by die CEO gegaan van de Aar hospitaal. Ek het 'n brief aan hom gerig wat van ons prokureurs afkom en sê hoorie, hoekom hoor ons niks, hoe ver is die saak, ons soek antwoorde, maar niemand kan my niks sê nie, is amper asof hulle smeer iets toe, hulle is bang om te praat. Hy het net vir my beloof dat hy sal wel terugkom na my toe, maar tot dusver nog niks weer gehoor nie.
Net so 'n bietjie om vinnig om jou terug te vat na die dag toe julle by die hospitaal was, net vir die kykers wat dalk miskien nog nie weet nie, wat spesifiek presies, nie in soveel woorde nie, maar wat het gebeur die dag toe julle toe jy by die hospitaal instap?
Ja, NASCO was in diens die 3 Julie 2021. Ons het deurgegaan na my pa om vir hom kos te gee. Hulle het ons toegelaat om in die Covid-saal te gaan. Om my pa te voer, kos en water te gee. 'n half uur, ek was 'n half uur min of meer in sy saal gewees, toe sê NASCO vir my, hulle gaan Chila. DASCO sal enige tyd aanmeld aan diens meld. Ons was meer as 'n uur en 'n half alleen saam met my pa in die COVID dood, waar daar geen mediese personeel was nie en ek meen enige iets kon gebeur het, Keith, ek het nou al so baie dinge gehoor van die de Aar hospitaal, mense wat my kom sien het, in verband slegte behandeling wat hulle kry van die mediese personeel af. Vir my vraag is net, daar was hoeveel mense wat siek was met COVID in die hospitaal, wat hulle self geontslaan het, as gevolg van slegte behandeling in die hospitaal.
Die 70-jarige Susan Johnson was een van die pasiënte wat haarself weens 'n nagmerrie-ondervinding uit die Covid-saal ontslaan het en by die huis gesond geword het. Sy is ook beloof dat die departement van Gesondheid haar voorval sou ondersoek.
Hulle sal terugkom na my toe. Nooit het hulle gekom nie en toe bel ek hulle. Toe sit wat hulle die briefie aanstuur by die huis. Toe hulle ook nie gekom het na die 25 dae wat hulle gesê het, toe bel ek hom weer. Toe sê vir my, hulle sal later vir my opvolg. Hulle het nooit gekom nie. In die eerste plek was die hospitaal vir my baie treurig. Uiters. Die Covid-saal was uiters. Ek weet nie wat vir jou die foto's gewys het nie. Ek gaan vir jou die foto's wys. Ek het gelyk soos een wat aangerand is. My mense kan nie by die huis glo toe ek hier aankom wat het gebeur het. Soos ek nou lyk. Elk geval. Hulle het mis nou die foto's gesien en hulle het nou ook maar groot geskrik. Ja, maar soos ek sê, my punt van die saak is, ek wil net gehad dat hulle moet terugkom. Hulle moet net hulle maniere gewys het. Jy kan nie nou vir my sê, of mense vir my nou kom sê, jy moet gaan kyk hoe skoon is die Covid-saal nou nie. Hoe netjies is dit nou nie. Ek het meer as 2 dae daar gelê, 2,5 dae. Hy plek was nie afgestof of uitgevee of wat nie. Daar het 'n vrou gekom met 'n mop en sy net daar een kant gevee, maar sy is te bang om hier by my te kom vee. Gee hulle jou die kos aan en staan hulle amper by die deur en Ek moet of my uittrek om my kos te vat en om daar neer te sit.
Martha Trieresant het 'n familielid verloor wat verlede jaar met 'n steekwond by die hospitaal opgeneem is. Hy is 'n paar uur later oorlede. Martha en haar familie voel die hospitaal het nie dalk genoeg gedoen om sy lewe te red nie.
Sy girlfriend Max het aan ons verduidelik. Die geval het by hulle gebeur tussen 9 uur. Het hulle uitval gehad. Sy het vir hom in die bos ingesteek. En met die het hulle die ambulance gebel. Die ambulance het opgekom met die polisie. Hy samenwerking gegee. Hy was nie onwillig om in die ambulance te klim nie. In die ambulance geklim, hulle het noodhulp aan hom gedien tot hy by die hospitaal gekom het. Toe sy daar kom, het sy vir hulle verduidelik dat sy hom 'n redelike diep hou gesteek het met 'n skroewedraaier en dat dit geseël het onmiddellik en dat hulle onmiddellik vir hom moet opcheck op hom. But 11:30 is hy opgeneem en hulle het daar uit die hospitaal het gesit. En daarna het ons nog net die tyding die nächste oggend gekry dat hy is oorlede. Die familie het 'n bietjie ongelukkig gevoel wat in Springfontein is, anders is Hannover, anders is PE, want ons het daar was met vrae was ons agtergelaat, wat het regtig gebeur? Was hy gejaag, was daar behandeling aan hom toegedien en so aan te. En so die familie gevoel, hulle gaan nog hier by mekaar sit om vir advokaat Pina, nee, dat hulle vir hulle moet help om aan sy lering voet, want hulle het die eerste keer was die hospitaal gekontak en hulle gesê hulle kan nie leer of whatever aan die familie wysie, sodat die familie wou net sien wat was dat die behandeling was vir hom gegee. So meneer Pina het toe die leer aangevra. Wat was so weird op die leer vir die familie was, as dat hy was 21:30 opgeneem in die hospitaal. Nee, hulle gesê hy het die samewerking gegee nie, hy het mediese behandeling geweier. So 20:07 wys die leer vir ons, het hulle weer op hom gaan check. Toe wys dit weer, hy is nou weer sober en hy is op relax. Tussen die tydperk van 11:10 en 20:07 wys hy glad nie dat hulle weer op hom gaan kyk het. Is hy wel, is hy okay, hoe is die bloeding of so aan te nie. 20:08 het hulle weer aantekening gemaak dat hulle hom op die vloer gekry het. En hy vomit en bloed in die mond en die dokter het gekom aanbeveel dat hulle ekstra hulle moet neem. En die doodse ondersoek wys vir ons dat hy 38 afgesterf het. So vir die familie was het so onaanvaarbaar. Hulle voel net hy het glad die behandeling in die hospitaal gekry nie. Hulle het weer aangevra vir die ekstra hulle, maar dit was vir hulle genoem dat hulle moet dit legal aanvra weer. Die familie het nie geld om die ekstra hulle aan te vra nie, want hulle wil dit agter hulle skouers het. Hulle wil geruststel. Hulle wil gerusgestel wees.
Fokus het na 'n wekelange gewag en gesukkel die departement van gesondheid sover gekry om kommentaar te lewer oor die beweerde swak dienslewering by die AR hospitaal.
As a department, we need to, of course, be upfront and once more apologize for the delays. But I need to also give an indication that there were some significant progress that has been registered towards resolving this issue. I think that is following the alleged incident, of course, where investigation took place. And I must indicate that our task team did manage to, wrap things up and also present their report. Their report is a final report with clear-cut findings and with also a recommendation in terms of us having to strengthen moving forward, some of the other experiences relating to this story in particular. So our team, we've assigned them just to make a follow-up with the family. They did indicate that before end of this week, of which is hopefully by tomorrow, they will also just go and meet with the family once more, just to present in terms of the findings. But there are recommendations that also internal we'll have to look into and try to make sure that we strengthen the delivery of healthcare services, particularly at that facility. But one other important aspect that I need to also submit as part of why there was a bit of delays. One of the important aspects that MEC has already committed last year was to strengthen the leadership of the facility, because at the time when the alleged incident happened, there was an acting person. So we can safely report to say for the first time after many years, we do have a dedicated CEO to man this facility, and also area of leadership at the district office. We did also appoint a permanent district director just to give support to some of our CEOs to strengthen the delivery of healthcare services moving forward.
'n storie wat ons beslis sal steeds moet dophou, sedert dit so baie mense in daardie provinsie raak en slagoffers natuurlik. Net hierna praat ons met 'n Suid-Afrikaner wat die slagoffers van die krisis in die Oekraïne as 'n vrywilliger bystaan. Bly gerus ingeskakel. Dit is môre 4 weke sedert Rusland se inval van die Oekraïne. Sedertdien het miljoene inwoners van Oekraïne uit die land gevlug, hoofsaaklik na buurlande soos Pole. Gevolglik het 'n humanitêre krisis in die buurlande ontstaan, maar ook die Oekraïne is die omstandighede in baie stede haglik. 'n Suid-Afrikaanse vrou, Hester Berg-Appoyer, wat deesdae in Oostenryk woon, het besluit om deel te word van die wêreldwye optrede om te help met die humanitêre krisis. Jolien Reed het via Zoom met haar gesels.
I hit the ground running. When it all erupted, I just said to my husband, I need to do something. So on the Monday, the Monday after the crisis broke out, I phoned a couple of embassies and to find out what they were doing, how I could help. That was running down a dead end. And so I put myself on Facebook and started asking people to share and to let me know of other groups that were doing the same work in Austria. And so I connected with another group of women who were creating convoys to transport humanitarian aid and animal food.
So, hoe lyk jy skets bietjie vir ons 'n prentjie van hoe dinge lyk in Oekraïne op die oomblik?
What we have experienced with drivers who have gone in is that in various regions, it's quiet. There's nothing happening. It's like any other country. It's not the concern, and it's not targeted zones. But obviously, if you start going further north towards the Russian border, then whatever you see on television, whatever you see on social media is true. People have no access to water, they have no access to electricity, they're not getting food through, they're not getting medical supplies through. It's cold, it's still winter, it's spring, but it's cold. They don't have warmth, just things that are just everyday things that we take for granted, they have been cut off from. The bombing areas are really bad. There are some zones that are actually under Russian occupation. What you see is what it is, that's for sure. But where we have been in the southern borders of Slovakia, Romania, Poland, and Hungary, it's relatively quiet, and many refugees are fleeing through those borders into the EU.
People that are busy fleeing, do you know who they are?
Well, they're Ukrainians. They are mostly Ukrainians. There are obviously people and younger people that are studying there, students from other countries that are also getting out as they can. As we've heard, the South African embassy has vacated. But mostly, to be fair, mostly it's the elderly and it's women and children. The men are staying behind, even though there are a vast amount of women that are staying behind and picking up arms and fighting for their country.
A lot of the people that are there since the 6th of March, the needs of the people have changed. So what was it in the beginning and where are we at now?
When the military crisis first erupted, there was a big call for blankets, warm clothing, food, humanitarian aid in the form of medicines, etc., which we delivered. The second trip, which was exactly a week later, the shift was more on baby products, baby food, diapers, women hygiene products, and then medical care, swabs, bandages, plasters, wound creams, over-the-counter drugs to lower infection and inflammation, dry instant food like instant noodles, soup packets, anything that can be mixed with hot water.
So at the moment you say that it's very quiet, but you also did mention that a person should not disregard the silence. What did you mean by that?
Well, it's deceptive. You know, the people live in fear and they don't know which next area of the Ukraine is going to be targeted for whatever reason. So it is deceptive, and there is a need, and there is a panic, and there is an urgency for the Ukrainians.
In terms of the hospitals, so are they getting the necessary, are the people getting the necessary care at the hospitals? What's the situation like in the ER section?
We're transporting anything we can that's over the counter as far as medical supplies are concerned. We cannot transport anything that's not over the counter. But I know that various countries, including Austria, have sent ambulances over. They've also sent medical equipment over. So I can only assume that the care is reaching where it must. But that's one thing that the Russians have done, is they've targeted hospitals. I think you've seen that as well. So the hospitals themselves have moved down into basements. They've gone underground, and I'm also assuming that they would be rigged up with uninterrupted power supply systems and that they can keep going in that form. But I do know that everybody in the EU is moving equipment and ambulances and medical care over. We can't help them much else, but we can certainly do this.
Bly ingeskakel, net hierna sit ons die gesprek voort, moenie weggaan nie, ons is nou terug. Welkom terug. Die humanitaire krisis wat in Oekraïne ontstaan het sedert Rusland se inval van die land maak nuusopslaa. Jolien Riet gesels nou verder met 'n Suid-Afrikaner, Hester Berg-Appoyer, wat deesdae in Oostenryk woon en as vrywilliger help met die krisis. Sy het aan Jolien Riet vertel dat hulle ook die diere probeer red.
The team with the dogs have arrived at the Polish-Ukraine border. They made it safely from Kiev to the border, and they are waiting for us. We're running a bit late because of that half-hour nap, but the pups are there, waiting to be collected. Yay!
This far, we have managed to get 25 dogs out of the Ukraine. Again, that was established via Facebook. One of the translators, a Polish translator, has a friend who's in the Ukraine. She runs the shelter. She needed help. She's looking for animal food and pet care. So they did the coordination. We could get a driver to bring the dogs to the Ukrainian border, and we picked them up basically in no man's land and brought them back to Austria. Having said that, there's a lot of scamming going on out there as well, because the owner of the shelter in the Ukraine paid for a driver to come and collect the dogs, 15, and he took the money and ran. We never heard from him again. So she had to pay again to have a driver to transport the animals. A lot of coordination, a lot of groundwork is done by somebody else. I kind of shield myself from that. All I want to do is make the right connections with the right people that we can trust to get the goods in. Lionel, as you say, yes, is a South African friend of mine. He runs Warriors for Wildlife, and he does a lot of rescuing of circus animals and zoos.
So we're in some bed. We're ready to load her. The crate's in the vehicle. We're waiting for her to go to sleep. She's already got one shot. She's fighting it. We gave her a small dose. The vet's preparing one more. So we're here. Everything's been going smoothly for now. So Marsha, we've locked her away already. Obviously she's got to be put away so we can sedate her and do whatever we need to do. So there she is. She's getting ready to go, and just to show, this used to be her home. It looks a bit bare now because of winter.
His focus is on big cats and lions and relocating them back to South Africa. But in his care, he had Masha, the bear, who he rescued from a circus. Very bad conditions. And she was in the Ukraine, so he flew out from South Africa, has an entry visa back to the Ukraine, and has successfully relocated Masha just this weekend from. And our connection is that I meet him, I hand over all the humanitarian goods and animal goods, and he transports them into the Ukraine, delivers them at said locations, and then brought Masha out, but he'll be doing more trips now in the next 2 weeks. The concept of Europe seems large, but it's not. The countries are small. South Africa is huge in comparison to some European countries, and I just feel compelled that if I was sitting in South Africa and there was somebody going down in Cape Town trying to destroy Cape Town, then this is what we have to do. I'm here, I'm married to an Austrian, but I can go down the road and I can help the Ukrainians down the road. And that's exactly what it is. It's closer in distance than Johannesburg and Cape Town.
So how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, I do have a bank account for monetary donations. We are set up. We can also provide receipts. There's a PayPal or there is a bank account that can go in. And I think obviously for people far away, this would be the only way to go. What I also must say is that and I have made a public declaration, is that we will also use some of those donations for our own petrol costs and our roaming data costs for the translators. But gladly, we will provide receipt and documentation of where the money goes exactly. We've also discovered in time that it is actually easier to shop in one of the other countries closer to the Ukrainian border. They have Tesco's and Carrefour's, which are very well supplied. It makes our cars lighter to actually drive, but then we go and we just go and do a massive shop. So there are also receipts for those financial donations on what we have bought.
En dit is al vir vanaand. Onthou, Fokus word elke donderdagoggend om 10:30 op SABC 2 herhaal en ons is ook steeds beskikbaar op YouTube. Al wat jy moet doen is ons te volg op ons Facebookblad by Fokus SABC of jy kan ons volg op Twitter by Fokus.za. Jy kan ons ook e-pos stuur aan fokus@sabc.co.za. Ons hoop jy kan volgende Woensdag aand om 7 uur weer hier by ons aansluit op SABC 2. Sien jou dan.